John Seacott, executive editor of the Brewer Magazine. Welcome to another edition of the Brewer Magazine podcast. Make sure that you're liking and subscribing for all of our content on YouTube and Spotify. And of course, there's always updates at brewermag.com for all your business resources for the craft beer industry. Well, Atlantucky is a brewery all about the three P's: pints, pies, and paninis. Yeah, the brewery has been taking it slow and steady since first opening up 3 years ago, actually, as they just celebrated their 3-year anniversary at the beginning of February. And they've been doing those slow and steady tap room upgrades. Instead of just jumping all in, it's now a full brew pub after 3 years with food, liquor, and of course, their own beer. And we're going to get into it right now with them to talk about why they made those moves, how they did it, how they landed on a menu of pies and paninis, pies being pizza, and key decisions behind designing a menu that's both profitable and also customer friendly. We're also going to talk for must-have equipment when it does come to deciding these things and the lessons learned along the way in opening 3 years ago now. So if your brewery is thinking about adding some food service, well, check this out. And we're joined on the podcast with Skinny Deville from Atlantucky. How are you doing, man?
What's good, man? How you doing?
Excellent. Well, I've already talked about how cold it is, so hopefully it'll be warming up here in a little bit. But this is the cool thing that's warming up for you guys is heating up in the tap room by adding a kitchen. Um,
Yeah.
what made you guys want to do it? You start a brewery, you're thinking about making beer. When does the food idea come in?
I have to go back a little bit. We started in our garage with Scales, my partner's garage, 2016, 2017 era home brewing. We ended up getting the Savco from Monday Night Brewery, which is a big brewery down here in Georgia. They gave us their Savco system to kind of perfect some of the beers instead of having a one pot, one burner type situation and get into repeat beers. But when we got the space in 2020, our overall goal was to, you know, sell beer. But Atlanta is a multi-purpose city in a sense. They have clubs, you have breweries, you have bars. And so you got to compete, man. And the size and space of our brewery, there was already a prep kitchen already in it when we got it.
Oh, nice.
So we retrofitted the kitchen a little bit, and because our brewery was an event space originally when we took it over, and so there was a prep kitchen in the back in the event space, and that's where we put our brewery. And in the kitchen upstairs, we was letting different vendors come in and make food for our customers, and they used the kitchen, and we really wasn't really profiting from it. We just wanted to make sure that our customers had something to eat, and we didn't want the liability if something went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But even in that, the vendors might had a sick day or they had something to do that day or they couldn't do it. And it was a lot of almost like trying to get food trucks outside. Everybody has their own thing. Tire goes bad. They can't make it. The son's sick. And so it was like, we still got to be able to compete. And so it was like, well, let's just go ahead and do what we was talking about doing, which I'm a big fan of pizzas. And so we was going to do a pizza kitchen. It ended up turning into paninis as well. We got really good salads. And we just introduced wings top of the year. And
Nice.
so, yeah. And so the food is really, really, really good at Atlantucky. We have a really good chef. Her name is Chef Michelle. And she kind of keeps the kitchen running for us and gets us the food that we need. And every now and then we get to get a couple wings or a free pizza or something out of it. But like I said, Atlanta, you have to compete. And so you can't just open a brewery in Atlanta and think that just beer itself is going to get you to the finish line. And so we do events. We just implemented our bar. We have a full bar that we implemented in July, August. We got our liquor license. We introduced our food. It was a year ago, last February on our second anniversary. We introduced the food. So we're still stepping it up, but we really wanted to be known for making really good beer first. And so that's why we didn't really just jump into a full restaurant and brew pub. And it's already a hassle to get all those licenses and all those things lined up anyway. We would have been forever trying to get everything dialed in. So we just got the beer license first. That took us to almost a year and a half during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so you get that one, and then the next one is, you do the food. After the food, you get your liquor, and after the liquor, start adding a few more things to the situation. So hopefully, and we just got our canning line about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
So we'll be able to have cans for our guests to take with them instead of just drinking on premise. We'll be able to take those things and you can go. And that's going to allow us to get our brand and the word out a little bit faster and easier for the people that really do appreciate our beers and whatnot. So we're looking
Right,
forward to
right.
the steady growth.
And that's nice. And it seems that it becomes more of a key thing right now is to have that diversification outside of beer. You can't just open up something with beer and expect to continue to grow. There is people that can do it. And
Yeah.
and sometimes it comes down to the situation of, is there a lot of people around you? Or, is that your unique aspect? But like
Yeah.
you said, being able to have things that are under your control as well. Because like you said, food trucks, even having a kitchen that's a partnership, sometimes that doesn't work out. But how's Chef
Yeah.
Michelle been helping you guys be able to develop what you guys wanted to do and be able to make it be something that is unique to your area and be able to draw people in that might not have thought of coming in beforehand?
Absolutely. And we use spent grains in the dough and the pizza and on the bread. But we use some of the spent grains. They use some of our beer to make some of the sauces for the pizzas. And now we're getting into hop seasoning, hop salt, where you get a little bit of hops and a little bit of sea salt, and you mix them together. And it, depending on the hops, it creates a nice little seasoning. You can use it for the salad. You can use it for your pizza topping. So we're just using what we have and kind of branching out. And those things are also cool that people want to try. Like, oh, I've never had that. Let me go here and see what that's about. And so anything that we can do to get people in the front door, I call asses in the seats. And the more people come in, experience it, I think the better off the branding will be, as well as the story about Atlantucky. If you see those steady little incremental growths that we're doing, like I said, we came in and did everything at once. There would be no place for people to see the changes in development, and that's also part of the business. Is oh, you was here for the last home game, or you come from out of town because we're right beside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so we get a lot of the foot traffic from. Uh, the Falcons as well as the Atlanta United soccer club. And so we get a lot of people come from all over the place to see those games. We get concerts. So if you've been there before and you come back the next year, you'll see something that's different and you're part of the journey with us as we grow. So it's cool. I like it.
That's nice. And just going back to the bar aspect, being able to add liquor has also been a key for a lot of people. You're seeing different people that aren't walking in saying, "Oh, there's just beer here." And then, they're bouncing because they got three people that, aren't going to do it. You're able to hold on to those people, which, like you said, more asses and seats. Is
Yep.
that been, have you seen that growth? Have you seen the ticket numbers change since you guys did this in July?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And we have an event space that's attached to the brewery. So we were throwing events and the people that were booking the events wanted to bring liquor in, and the laws are kind of strict here to where you have to have a licensed bartender. You have to go from a couple different places to get your alcohol and bring it in, and then they were making that money, and they were booking the space. They were making the money off the alcohol, and we were just kind of sitting there, happy to have the space rented out, but still like we're missing out on some revenue that could be there. And like you said, some people don't drink beer when they come in with other people, and so the alcohol gives you a little bit more chance to keep people to stay there and do things. We have games. So you might come on a date night with your girl or your wife or whatever, and she might want a cocktail and you might want the beer, and y'all can still play a game there. So you're still staying there for like an hour, and then you end up eating a pizza, and so it just increases our chance of getting more revenue in the front door. People enjoying the actual experience there, and like I said, everybody doesn't drink beer, but you got to compete with Atlanta because if you're not selling it, they'll go right around the corner and get someplace that does. And so it's like, well, we can't just be all high and mighty and say we're just going to be a brewery. So we converted our license from a production license to a brew pub license, which allows us to sell food, alcohol, as well as beer. And now the limit of how much beer you can purchase and take out the front door, we don't have those restrictions anymore like we did with the production. So we're not limited on that side. So when we get the cannon line up and running, if you want to come in and buy 2 cases, 3 cases of beer because you love it, there's no laws preventing us from doing that for the customer. So
Awesome.
multifaceted.
Look at the change that you guys have, or when you decided to make these changes to add food. Did you look around the restaurants that are in that area? Did you kind of work with, well, we have the kitchen, we can already put this stuff in, it was ready to go? How did you go, this is going to be pizza and paninis?
Yeah, well, as Nappy Roots, we travel the country performing and doing music. So we go to breweries in every city that we get a chance to before the show or the next day on the way out. And what we found is, and as we talk to some of the owners there, that it's a low footprint for one, as far as pizza. It doesn't require a lot to pull off. The turnaround time is fast, and our oven is pretty much set on a speed like it just goes through the oven at the same speed. So whatever you put in there at that time is going to come out the other side and it's going to be done. So it is really not a lot of user error attached to that. And like I said, the flip of just dough, sauce, some toppings, some cheese. You don't have to have steak in a world renowned chef. Our chef is really good at what she does. She comes from the owning some restaurants during the pandemic, but the pandemic kind of took her out of the I don't want to own a restaurant anymore. I just rather, I love you guys and I help you guys out. And so we got her on as a consulting chef. And then we have a couple other guys that, some younger guys that they just want to be a part of it. And again, you just put a couple pepperonis, sprinkle some cheese. If you want a cheese, so we made it real easy for our customers to get that. But the footprint, we just had one oven. It was a small kitchen, but we was able to retrofit the kitchen to make it make sense for what we're doing. We got the sandwich spot for sandwiches. The paninis go right through. We got the panini presses. And now we had just added the wings. Like I said, it goes through the same oven. And we have an oven. We can pre-bake the wings first and then run them through the oven to give them the crispiness. So
Right.
those things I think are good for breweries. Those types of foods and meals are good for breweries. And you don't just necessarily want bar food when you go to a bar. And some bar foods are very simple, but we want to do a little bit more than that, but still not have an intensive menu where we got to have the staff and have all the things that, you need to actually have a full-fledged running restaurant.
Right. Right. Do you
But it
guys
is
have
a
any?
restaurant. It is a brew pub. Like we do serve food.
Do you have any input, or did you have any input when you guys were creating the menu? Do you kind of rely on Michelle, or because obviously I've seen a lot of names, they look like familiar song titles. I mean, it was that something that you're saying we want this one to be named this, but she came up with the ingredients, or did she have the ingredients and you're like, call it this one?
Well, me and Scales, we like food. We're foodies. Like I said, when we travel, we try to find a good restaurant to eat at and whatnot. But I was making a lot of pizzas for my family throughout the week just because I like making pizzas at home. So I would take some of the ideas that I had and present them to her. Scales would say, "Well, he likes this and that." She would say, "Well, what about these things?" So it was a communicated group effort, I would say. But we just gave her the ideas, and she came up with the actual recipes. She would let us try some of the things to get started. We would say, "Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit more of that, not so much of that." And so we tweaked the recipes as we got good. And like I said, just communication between the chef and me and Scales of what we actually liked and what we wanted, and then we let her kind of take over from there and put the dial it in a little better.
What's the response been?
It's been great. If you go to our Googles, our Google, our Yelp reviews, and you look at the food, I think the pizzas are amazing. Our paninis are to die for. Our salads are really, really good. And I think that our bar is on the second level upstairs with our kitchen, and we're getting more and more people coming just for the food and the bar, along with the beer, of course. But now it's multifaceted to where it's not just beer, it's not just the bar, it's not just the food, but they all kind of work hand in hand to give the experience. When you come to Atlantucky, you can do this or you can do that. You can eat upstairs and chill. But most people are getting the food because you're drinking beer, you're gonna want something to eat. I mean,
Yep.
it's a matter of time. And you don't want to get too lit on the beer and not have nothing to fall back on. We originally started, we had pretzels, the beer pretzels you can get. And so
Hmm.
those sell like hotcakes too, but you need something more than pretzels. And like I said, if you got a date night, you guys can split a flatbread, which is probably pretty much meant for two people, and you can just hang out and get the experience. We do the half and half. You do half sandwich, half salad, or half a pizza, half a salad. And I think those things and having those options allow the customer to really get what we're trying to do, which is, we want you to eat, we want you to have fun, we want you to stick around for an hour or so. And we closed at 10, so we kind of want you to go do something else and not be the end result of your night is Atlantucky.
Sure. Obviously, with the kitchen already being there, you like you said, you were able to build a foot because it had a footprint already. But have you guys had to invest into any equipment going in, or was it
Oh
already
yeah.
there?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So
No.
what were some of those key pieces, and do you see yourself having any expansion ideas to it?
Um. So Atlantucky is on the first floor, kind of the basement, if you will. It's not really the basement. It's the first floor of
Yeah.
apartment complex. So it's 96 apartments above us.
Gotcha.
So the space is pretty much going to be what it is. It's not really a place we can expand. We don't own the whole building.
Hmm.
Um, but we did have to invest in the pizza oven. We did have to invest in the sandwich table. We moved some sinks out. We kept the oven that was there already, which is a multi-purpose oven. You can do all kind of things with it. So we keep that. We kept that. The ice machine was there. We did have to buy another freezer, refrigerator type situation, just to store more of the food. So we did invest a couple thousand, well, more than that. We put about $50,000 into the kitchen overall, over the course of getting it up and running the year before we opened up. So there were some purchases, and we just actually purchased another pizza oven because you're running the pizzas through and the wings at the same time. And if it's busy, it's about 7 minutes to make a pizza. So you get 10 people at the same time on a pizza, you might wait 30 minutes to get to that pizza if you're not, and then you want wings. So they're two stackable ovens and you just run them both at the same time and get what we need out of it. So, but so far, we haven't had any complaints about the time and the turnaround. If we know it's going to be a busy day, we'll get in there early and go to pre-make some pizzas and get them ahead. We just had a really big Nike event that was on Tuesday, I do believe. It's about 300 people that came in from a Nike convention with retailers or whatnot, and they got 2 drink tickets, and we just kept running out pizzas to them, and we had enough pieces to hold everybody over, and no one complained about the time, and it was a good experience. But the second oven will allow us to kind of speed that up, so we can do 2 pieces at the same time, or do wings at the top, pizzas at the bottom. But having two will allow us again to double up the productivity.
Gotcha. Were you involved in the purchasing of these, or did you rely on Chef Michelle to kind of be like, this is the one I think we need? Did you ever think, I'm looking at pizza ovens, like, you just don't think of these like things like, I'm opening a brewery. You know what I need to do is I need to go check out like 10 different pizza ovens.
Well, so our rep for Cisco, who we get our food from, he's familiar with a lot of restaurants that open up. So he gave us a few options, and we looked at the one that was conducive to our price tag and pocketbook that we could afford and the size and space that we're dealing with. And he gave us a couple recommendations, and we just sat down as a collective and made the best decision for us and what we're doing. We got the one that we can actually expand and stack versus the fire pit. I don't think would have been able to do the fire pit because of the regulations of the building that we have right now. So it's I think it was a good decision, the pizza oven that we did run with. And if we go to a bigger space after the Super Bowl, our lease is up in 2029. And we got the World Cup in 26 and the Super Bowl in 28, which is literally a block away from where we're at.
Yeah.
So we're going to stay there till then. And if we decide to get into distribution and go to a bigger location, then I think we would definitely invest in a much more elaborate kitchen and get some more things on the menu for sure.
Well, you guys have a third year anniversary coming up. I think that's pretty cool to be able to say, "Hey, we're there. We've hit 3 years." What are some of the lessons that you have learned that you didn't expect? And like you said, you guys are already starting to plan for the future, especially with so many big events coming up. And looking towards where's the next location if we have to be that. What have you learned so far as a brewery owner?
So we just had our third year celebration this past Saturday. If we was going to be technical about it, we opened up February 4th of 2021.
Okay.
22. Yeah, 2022. I'm sorry.
22.
We
Yep.
got the keys September 7th of 2020, and we got a license to brew December 17th of 2021. And then as soon as we got a license to brew, we turned out 4 beers so we can have them ready for February 4th of 2022. So this is our third year. of being legally open, and we're going on our 4.5 year of having the keys to the space.
Sure.
And man, I would say slow and steady wins the race in regards to us. I was mentioning earlier, we're not just trying to go and try to get everything at the very beginning to open up. As I tell a lot of the people that want to open a brewery, I said, you just got to get started, man. Um, I wouldn't wait to try to get $1 million to open up a brewery, but I wouldn't try to do it. I wouldn't try to do it with $100,000 either. You spend a
Right.
lot of money just trying to maintain, get open, go through the changes that the building inspector, the health department, the fire department, the city of Atlanta. There's a lot of permits and things that you have to open up a brewery, and I would look into those things before I even get the keys to a space, because you're gonna tie up a lot of time getting that part to get to the part that of opening and having an actual business running. Um, I think some of the things that we've learned is you have to love what you do, and you got to be patient with your team and your staff, as we're all doing something that maybe they haven't done before. Me and Scales are the head or the brewers. We brew the beer as well, so we don't have a head brewer that is coming in telling us what to do or what we need to do. And I'm the general manager, so no one's. I don't. We don't have to pay the head brewer or the general manager those things that some people have to even operate. And then if you opening a brewery or trying to run a brewery, you need to know what's going on. If not, that money's going to run out of your hands so fast, and you're not going to see where it's going if you're not dialed into what's happening. And then you can't make the changes you might need to make with a beer that you want to make. Like if Scales wasn't a brewer and I didn't care because we were just Nappy Roots and we was out and about and just looking at our bottom line every month, I
Yeah.
don't think it would have worked that way. I think we couldn't have changed with the wind if we needed to, based off, we know what the trends are. We know about beer. We know how to make beer. But if we wanted to add a little bit more, you know, Sabro to the hops, we'd have to probably go through someone who might say that's not a good idea. We shouldn't do that. If we said we want to add another, piece to the kitchen, someone might say, yeah, I don't think so. We shouldn't do that. Or they might say we should do this. And then we go completely left and lose our ass that way. And so I think for us, being hands-on has allowed us to learn as we get to the third year of what not to do. And we've hired some people that have experience as well in running restaurants or being a part of a bar or bartenders or whatnot. And I think experience is the best teacher. And if you're trying to open a brewery, give yourself the time and the patience, but you must be educated on what you're getting into, or you will find yourself out of money real fast.
Sure. And balancing it with your previous job, really. I mean, you're still doing that. Like you said,
Yeah,
you got a concert this weekend.
yeah.
How do you find that balance and be able to continue to go out on the road a little bit? But like you said, you got a brew day coming up, I'm sure, next week as well.
Yeah. So since the pandemic happened, we was on tour during the pandemic, right before the pandemic hit. We cut off like the last half of our tour due to the whole country shutting down.
Hmm.
And that gave us the time to really reflect and really hone in our craft on the beer side. And so when the world opened back up, we were taking much less dates, but at a higher price. And so we were busy. So you can't just get us to leave because we got other stuff to do. And shows are not really going on Tuesdays and Wednesdays or Mondays. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They're more of the weekend things of a Thursday, Friday, Saturdays when most shows really go down. And so we prep on Mondays, brew on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and sometimes Fridays, depending on what is needed. But we made sure that our shows are not really going into effect until Friday or Saturday. And we're not really on tour like we were before the pandemic, just, out there for 15, 16 days in a row. All of us
Hmm.
have family, all of us have kids. Our kids are getting older, but we still have some kids in school. And so we missed a lot of our early careers touring on our families and, raising our kids. And so I don't think that we're really trying to go back out there and do that at that level like we were 20 years ago as Nappy Roots. Now we're like a legacy act. We're able to get some really good dates, fairs, festivals, and big performance venues with some other acts. And we're kind of really selective on where we're going and who we're, touring with versus just trying to go out there and get a money grab. And that allows us again to do the weekends as performances, and in the first part of the week we do the beers. And we have a really good production manager. She's really dope, and she can come in and fill those gaps if we're gone. If we need to dry hop something, we need to crop something, put something on carb. She also is our kegger, so she kegs on Fridays. So I'll get everything ready. I handle the fermentation. Scales handles the brew days. So I'm there every day. He's there every day. We both put eyes on it. And if we have to leave, she knows what to do while we're gone for a couple of days. And we try to balance our schedules that way to get both done.
Awesome. Well, tell me about the beer. I mean, what's selling for you guys, and what do you want to sell? Because I think those are
Yeah.
two different things sometimes.
Yeah, so we started off with 4 beers when we opened up in 2022. We immediately turned them 4 beers to 8 beers, and those 8 beers into 14 beers. So we have 14 beers on tap. We have 3 bars. The 2 bars, one is an event space bar that has we can have up to 6 beers at that bar. Our bar one, which we call our uh, liquor bar, I would say. Bar one is where we sell our alcohol. That has 3 beers up there. Then when you walk in is our tap room in the middle, and that has the 14 beers on tap. And we'll move some of those beers around based off what we need to get to the other 2 bars. But 14 beers. Our flagship is called Nelson and Northside. It's a pale ale that we started in the garage when we was just at one pot with Scales House home brewing. That is our flagship. We have a lager called the Bluff American Lager that's really, really good. We also have a Pilsner to complement that as well called Castleberry Pills. I'm sorry, Castleberry Pills. We have a Habbo. We call it Habbo Manganero, which is a mango habanero IPA that is really good and very. A lot of our customers really, really like that beer. So we find ourselves making that beer quite a bit. Um, we have a sour on tap. We have a seltzer that we do. We have a few seasonal beers that we keep in rotation throughout the seasons and change around. We have a really good stout called Atlantucky Mud. It's a sweet stout with some Madagascar vanilla beans in it, and I feel like I'm missing one or two that I think are part of the fan favorites. But those ones I just mentioned are probably the ones that I think are really good, and people enjoy those as well. And we have some entry level beers for people that don't like beer. We have a lemonade shandy that we do for some people just don't like beer. They don't like the taste of it, the bitterness of it, and so we try to adjust that with some of our beers. We do a boil. The hop drop might be more in the middle, the 30-minute mark versus the 60-minute mark. If you drop the hops at the beginning, you get a lot of bitterness. You drop them in the middle, you get the flavor. You do them at the end. Whirlpool of hop stand, you get the aroma. So we try to do the 30-minute mark on a few. Some require the 60-minute drop, so we do it. But we understand that a lot of people that we are dealing with don't like beer, so we try to give them a couple entry-level beers: the seltzer, the shandy, and the sour. Or for example, we just did one called Chesapeake Bay that we used Old Bay in it, and it gives it a nice little flavor to it. And all those beers that are flavorful, I think, work well with the people that don't really like beer or entry level or novice beer drinkers. And if you just want a beer, I would recommend the Bluff or the Nelson and Northside or the Pilsner. We have a double called LL Cool J, which is a double IPA, which is a really juicy IPA that I think if you're looking for something, we have a Smash, which is the same malt and same hop, Belgian strong, 9%. So if you really want to come in there and take it there, I just had one of those yesterday before I left, and it was really, really good if you like a Belgian. And so we try to get true to style beers. We try to, keep it fresh enough to where you don't see the same thing every time you walk in. But we have some things that if you want to come here, we're going to make sure that you get what you're looking for as well. So,
Gotcha. Well, you've toured a lot. You've been to a lot of breweries. Shout them out. Who are you loving right now that you've had over the years that either inspired you, or maybe you just like, I can make that beer as well. Is there anything like that that inspires you when you're at a brewery?
oh man. Well, I'm terrible at names. This would probably be what Scales would come in and take over and tap out. But like I mentioned, Monday night is those are really good friends of ours here in Atlanta. Three Taverns is here in Atlanta that I like pretty good. There's a brewery called Halfway Crooks. They do really good
Oh,
Czech lagers.
yeah.
They're about 7 minutes away from us. I'm kind of mentioning all the brews that are in our neighborhood that are in a 7 to 10 minute drive to get there. But those would be those. I'm trying to think outside if I'm traveling. Oh man. Full Circle out of California. I think they're in Fresno. Full Circle would be a good one. I'm trying to look where I'm at over here in my stash. Woodland Empire out of Boise. They showed some love. We did a collaboration with them. Against the Grain out of Louisville.
Oh yeah, Sam.
Country Boy Brewing out of Lexington, Kentucky. They all make pretty good beers, and we're good friends with them. So if I start naming names, I'm gonna be mad, and they're gonna be mad because I'm leaving out a lot of people that I think really do really good beer. I just drawing a blank on which ones. If you ask me what I wore yesterday, I'd probably be the same thing. I have to go back there and look on my couch and tell you what I wore. I kind of live in the moment, enjoy it. I'm not one to take a bunch of pictures. I'll talk, I'll have some beers, and then kind of out. But I look forward to going to Miami or Fort Lauderdale tomorrow and hanging out with the folks down there and trying to find some good beer as well.
I'm
I know
sure
some
you
good
will.
beer in Tampa. And Woodfoot. I feel like they're in not Tallahassee. They're on the other side. Fort Walton Beach, I do believe. We have a good friend down there that's making beer. And shout out to them as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, I've been trying to do it this year, and I keep forgetting sometimes. Some goofy questions just to end. Rapid fire, 3 goofy questions. You want to do it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Number 1. What's your karaoke go-to song?
I don't do karaoke, but if I did, I would probably do.
If you've had a few drinks,
I'll probably do Po Folks or All Now, just because I know the words.
Sticking with the classics for you, right?
Yeah, got to. That's what they want to hear, man.
Right. What's the weirdest food combination that you secretly love and other people think is disgusting or odd?
I don't know, man. I like pancakes with raisins. I don't know if anybody does that. Yeah.
In the pancakes or on top?
In the pancakes.
Okay.
My wife, she knows. Like, she's making pancakes. I want mine with raisins. She'll put it in the batter. She'll have my 4 set aside. And my mother used to make it for me when I was growing up. So, old habits die hard.
I'm gonna try that.
My
wife does peanut butter on pancakes instead with maple syrup.
Oh.
And I've always it's too thick.
I can only imagine how thick that is. But try pancakes and raisins, man. I don't use the golden raisins. I use the other ones, just the regular dark ones. But yeah, it's amazing. Somehow the consistency from the pancake batter and the raisin that you get to taste it with the syrup, and
it's nice and sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite or least favorite swag when you go to a beer conference?
For one, I would try to get my bag after. So I ain't walking around with a big bag trying to drink and hold and shake hands. And then I don't get it with the people with the pretzels around their neck like a necklace. I'm like, that doesn't seem hygienic to me at all. Like, you got neck sweat back here, you got pretzels. It's like, I'm good, man. I'd rather get my bag when I leave, and I don't want no pretzel necklace.
Right on. Well, Skinny, thanks so much for talking about a wide variety of things, and we appreciate it. And thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, man, thanks for having me, man. Be safe, man. I look forward to checking it out, man. Appreciate you.
Don't forget, you can always check on brewermag.com. You can also see us on YouTube and listen to us on Spotify. And don't forget daily updates on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I'm Executive Editor John Seacott for brewermagazine.com.